Hi everyone, welcome to Baking with Boozy Bakers. We are making some ice cream cupcakes today, which is nice and summery, even if your weather isn't quite as bright and cheerful as these cupcakes. So I'll give you all a few minutes to get logged on. I've just noticed my door is open, so let's just close that quickly. There we go. We've had a list of everything that you will need, but if you haven't got everything, you don't have to make them in these in these cones. But we're using these little cup cones, wafer cones. So that is what we're using for cases. So you're not going to need cupcake cases for this unless you choose to. We're using the little ice cream cones there. You don't want the pointy ones because you're going to struggle to fill them if they're pointy. So if you have any comments or questions, do feel free to add them along the way, and I will have a look and answer anything as we go along. And I'll try not to go too fast either, but just stop me if I do. So the first thing we'll need to do is to preheat the ovens. You're going to want 180 for conventional or 170 for fan. So I've got mine on already. So do get your ovens on. Oh, can't see any comments at the moment. Of course, you can watch this later on as well, but do say hello if you're following along. Right. The first ingredients we're going to use are 120 grams of caster sugar. I'm going to angle down a little bit so you can see my ingredients. There we go. So I've got 120 grams of caster sugar, which I'm going to put into my bowl. And to that, I'm going to add 120 grams of softened butter. You can use margarine for this bit if you prefer, but just make sure the quantity is 120. Hi to Mickey, hi Melinda, hi Judy. Nice to have you all with me. Wherever you're on, Kent, Coventry, and Mickey's going to cook later. No problem at all. So I'm using a nice transparent bowl so you can see what I'm doing. Hi Diane. So if you want to cream your butter and sugar together, so basically just mix it together so you can't see the sugar, it's all combined. There we go. So if you've only just logged on, I'll repeat again, we've preheated the ovens to 180 for conventional or 170 for fan. And I've added 120 grams of butter and 120 grams of caster sugar, and I've mixed it together. So that's where we've got to. And hi, Anne. Now you're going to want 2 eggs. These are medium. Don't get too hung up on the size of the eggs, but just regular medium eggs are fine. And you're going to want 2 of those to your mix, and we'll give those a bit of a stir together. Now, if you find that your mixture curdles slightly and it looks like it's separated, a little bit like scrambled eggs, please don't worry because the flour will bring it back together again. Hi Sue, Gloucester in the house here, excellent. It's nice to see where you're all coming from today. There we go. Yeah, mine. I'm just going to scrape my spoon down as well because I do find it sticks quite a bit to the spoon, and I want it to all combine together nicely. There we go. Try not to make too much noise with my spoon. There. I hope I'm not going too fast for you all. So if you're doing this with me, and I am, just tell me to stop for a bit. So we've got 120 grams of butter, the 120 grams of sugar, and 2 eggs in that mix. And it's quite a thin, kind of sloppy mix at the moment. Hi, Pam from Cardiff today. And then I've got the same 120 grams. There's a bit of a theme going on here. They're all 120 grams. 120 grams of self-raising flour. So I'm going to sieve that. If you don't have a sieve, don't worry. Most flours these days are quite fine and you can be able to do it straight off. And I am going to add a teaspoon of baking powder to that. So I get a really good rise. And I'm just going to sift that in. There we go. Lovely. And then just give that a bit of a gentle mix together, fold it in, get the mixture from the bottom and put it over the flour on the top. It might look a little bit thick. If it does, don't worry, because we're going to add a little bit of milk and vanilla to it. Well, the vanilla's for flavour, the milk will be to loosen the mixture a bit. So there we go. Mine's quite thick now. I don't know if you can see. You know, there we go. It is a bit thick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a tablespoon of milk. What did Judy say? I'm going to make these on Saturday for my running club's picnic on Sunday. Excellent idea. And just a couple of drops of vanilla. There we go. Let's see if that's loosened it enough. What you're looking for is, it will be a bit thicker mixture, but you don't want it completely, it's still a bit too thick. You want it to have a bit of a run. So I'm going to add another tablespoon of milk, and that should be about right. There we go. So that's 2 tablespoons I've added there, just to get the right consistency. I want it to be a thick batter, but I do want it to have a little bit of looseness to it. So that's better. So it's coming off the spoon a bit more readily now. And that is your cupcake mix. So we want to spoon them into the ice cream cases. Now, I'll bring this up. You can see they're a bit wobbly, but I can't see that they're going to go anywhere. But if you're not sure, what you can do in the equipment list, I did say about a bit of foil. You can just get, I'll do this one out and show you. Just get a little bit of foil and just make a little bit of a holder for it, and then it won't go anywhere at all. So you can do that if you like. Depends how confident you're feeling. If you're doing these with children and they might tip up or something, then you might choose to go for a bit of foil. But to be honest, if you're careful, you should be all right. Famous last words, I know. So I'm going to use a teaspoon to put this in, just so that I don't get it too messy. And just fill them about halfway. There we go. We're not looking for them to become too high because we're going to decorate them with some buttercream. So you can see the concentration. I'll try not to stick my tongue out. There we go. Just keeping an eye out for any comments you might have. Yeah, I might actually bring them over. It's a good thing, at least with the wafer cones, you can move them a bit easier than a cupcake case. So I don't know if you can see, but you know, it's not, you can still see there's quite a wide area that's not got the batter in. So just about halfway. There we go. You might even get a couple, maybe one more out of it. Let's see. That's another one done. Keep Keep going. I'm running a bit low now. Okay, I'm just going to scrape down a spoon and get that last bit of batter out from my last one. And I might go back to the first one and just put a tad bit more in. Was a bit stingy on that first one. I like to know that I've filled them all. About half. I mean, if you go over half, what will happen is you'll get more of a muffin top to your cupcakes, but that's fine. You can just cover it with the buttercream. Got lots of hellos. Yes, I can just see Virtual Village Hall are saying about sharing pics. So yeah, do that. It is really fun to see what everyone does, especially as they are ice cream cupcakes. You can decorate them as you like. Stick a flake in the top or some hundreds of thousands. So once you've got all your batter into the wafer cones, you then want to put them in the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes. They're not ginormous. So 15 minutes might just do the trick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get them in and then I'll discuss with you what you're looking for when they're done. So bear with me. There we go. So I'm going to go for 15. So when they're done, they'll be risen, they'll be nice golden colour. If you want to test them some more, very carefully, because obviously they're hot, you can press the centre of the sponge cake and it should, if you gently do it, it should spring back up again. If you press it gently and it stays with a dent in it, then they're underdone and you need to leave them for a bit longer. And then your absolute test, if you're really not sure, is to get a cocktail stick or a skewer and just place it through the middle of the cake. If it comes back out and it's got some batter onto it, it's not cooked. You need to put it in for another few minutes. If it comes out and there's nothing on it, then it's cooked. So just reading through your comments, you're fine. Right, so whilst they are baking, we're not done. We're going to move on and make a buttercream. So I'm just going to get another bowl. There we go. So for the buttercream, you're going to want I would go with butter on this. I wouldn't go for margarine, just for the texture. Margarine doesn't quite go as it doesn't harden or stiffen as much as a butter will. So you just want to have a really good, you want to be able to do a nice swirl. Margarine might be a bit soft, so I really would, if you can, go for a butter. So I've got 140 grams of butter, and I'm using double the amount of icing sugar. Now, you can sieve that again as well. I'm just going to put it in. Now, we are going to add a little bit of liquid to this, but I'm going to make sure that it's a bit mixed up first. So just give that butter and sugar. Do it carefully. I don't know if you just saw the cloud of icing sugar I created, but just go carefully and just gently mix those two together until it combines, and it'll look like buttercream straight away. And then you're just really tweaking the flavour and the consistency. So I'm using the back of my spoon just to press the butter into the icing sugar. There we go. And hopefully by the time we've done this, we'll be able to see what the cupcake cones are looking like. So it's coming together. It's looking a little bit more breadcrumb-like now. It's not as fly away with the icing sugar. I always blame the icing sugar for any greys I have in the front of my hair. It's not greys, it's icing sugar. Hi, Angie. Nice to have you with us. So I thought this is a really good one to do for kids as well. I mean, great for picnics, great for a bit of fun, great for novelty. But for the summer holidays coming up, I just think they're a lovely kind of cake to have. There we go. So I'm having to use a bit more of elbow grease now. Of course, if you have a mixer, you can do this in the mixer. But it gives your arms a bit of a workout, and then you can have a cake then, can't you? You deserve it. Right, so I'll show you in just a second. It's kind of coming together now. There you go. Can you see? It's really combined, but it's sticking to the spoon. It's really quite thick. Now that's going to be quite hard to use on a cake. So the first thing that I want to do is put some flavour in. So just a couple of drops of vanilla. There we go. And then just a little bit of milk. I'd go for like probably a tablespoon. And hi Irene, lovely to have you with us. And give that a mix up. Just give it a chance just to combine that liquid and then see what you think. You want it to be soft enough that you can pipe. You don't have to pipe this. You can just get a spoonful on, like almost like think of like if you've got an ice cream spoon, you could almost do that and plonk it on top. That would look quite good. But if you want to do like the Mr. Whippy swirl, then you are going to want to have it soft enough that you can pipe it. Now, if you don't have a piping bag, you can get kind of a thicker kind of sandwich bag and snip off the corner. I'm just adding a little bit more because it's quite thick still. There we go. You can see my hands just suddenly running through it a little bit easily. My arms kind of managing to cut through it a bit easily there. The spoon's doing a good job. And that, I don't know if I can show you, you can see it's a lot easier to stir now. We don't want it runny and it's still sticking to the spoon, but it's much easier. It's not like the dough it was before, that kind of all combined to the, all stuck to the spoon. It's now kind of letting me cut through it. So there we go. I'm going to go and get a piping bag quickly to show you how to pop it into a piping bag. Bear with me. There we go. So you might have a reusable piping bag. I also use I've got a little plastic disposable one. And what you can do is either just cut a hole and pipe it through that, and you've got a nice round effect. If you do have a few nozzles and things lurking around the cupboards, you can use a star-shaped one. I wonder if you can see that. There you go. Can you see the stars? I'll see if I've got one in a metal. There we go. You might be able to see that better on camera. There. I'll just hold it at different angles. So if you get like a zigzaggy one like that, then that's will give you the nice kind of Mr. Whippy swirl effect. They are, Susan said, defo will do. They sound like great summer fun cakes. They are. I think they're a really nice way of doing them. You know what, it does help us to cut the end off before trying to insert the nozzle. So make sure, I'm going to cut a bit more off this one, that they fit. There you go. So putting it towards the end. Now to get it into the bag, I'm rolling over the top, you see, to form like like an extra bit there that's not going to have buttercream in it, just to save it getting messy. You can put this into like a highball tumbler and fold that over the edges. But to be honest, we're not doing too much. So I've got my fingers in between just to keep it stable. And I'm just going to scrape down the buttercream into the icing bag. Do make sure that your ice cream cakes are cool before you put the buttercream on top. Otherwise, it's just going to melt like you've got ice creams on a sunny day. So, there we go. Nearly done. Let's scrape it all down. Excellent. And then I'm just going to give it a little bit of a wiggle. Twist the top, and then that's ready to be used when my cakes are ready. I said to decorate, you could get some flakes or get some hundreds of thousands like those. Whatever you like. You could get, you get your ice cream sauces out. Get your caramel sauce, your strawberry sauces, whatever you have lying around. Marshmallows. I mean, these are a really good one to do as well. If you have got kids or grandchildren that are around, get them to decorate them. So even if you do the oven bit and then let them decorate their own cakes, they're a nice activity. Let's see how they're doing. Well, they've all risen to the top. So we'll just give them a bit longer to bake. I'm going to get the rack out so we can see them in front of us. And if you have any questions, you can ask away. There we go. So cooling racks are always useful. I mean, you can put the cupcake tray straight onto your hob if you've got one just to the hand. Obviously, where I'm on the island, I don't have a good surface like that, so I'm using a cooling rack to put it onto. So please, if you have any questions at all about these cakes or any others, do feel free to ask away, and I'll take all your comments whilst we wait for them to come out of the oven. They don't take that long to do, I've got to say. They're quite a nice, quick cake to make. So we've got 5 minutes, and I think they'll come out quite quickly. But you can, if you want to get really swish with them, if you want to do colourful buttercream, you can paint with a gel colour. Inside the piping bag, you can paint a stripe down the side here on the inside. Put your buttercream in as usual, but as you swirl it, you'll end up with like a line of colour, which looks quite good. And of course, if you want to make these chocolate, you can do. With your buttercream, you want to add just a good size spoonful of cocoa, and you might need to put a little bit more milk in just to make sure it's the right consistency. And if you want to make the sponge, you want to take out a little bit of the flour and add a bit of cocoa to that. Debbie said, I missed the beginning. Did you bake them in the ice cream cones? Yes, we did. So we're not using cupcake cases. We're using actual ice cream cones, but the cup ones rather than the pointy ones, just for balance. And they're baking in that. Catherine says, do you have any tips for icing for beginners? Mine always looks like Paddington's been helping me. Yes, so I will give you some tips. Let me have a think how we're going to do this. I should have done, here's what I made earlier on the cake, shouldn't I? What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this bowl up, and we'll use the top of this so I can show you. I'll bring it closer to camera. So, tips for icing. If you make sure that the top of the icing bag is twisted and that you've got some pressure on that so it doesn't go upwards, that's a really key one. And then with your icing, what you don't want to do is hold it above too high. You want to really get down into the icing. Otherwise, if you're not careful, it looks a little bit like a dog mess. So what I would say is go from the outside, make a circle, but keep your nozzle low and in the icing, and then raise it slightly to complete it. So I can show you that again. Hang on. We'll scrape it off and I'll do it again. Add it back to the bag later. So make sure your nozzle stays low and in the buttercream. That's my top tip. Let's have a look. Right, so I'm going to do it again. So start at the edge of your sponge cake, go round, and then come in, like so. I hope you're getting that from what I'm doing. So I'm doing the outside first, and then I'm raising it ever so slightly and coming in. So is that helpful? If it's not, if you need me to show you again, just comment again and I'll quite happily show you. But I think when we do parties live, especially when I'm doing them with kids, I've quite often seen that people hold the icing bag up here, and then it will fall in a way that you don't want it to. So nice down low, and keep it nice, and do those circles. And I always go inwards, especially to do the Mr. Whippy design. So, and then if you're doing hundreds of thousands, put those on quite quickly after you've buttercreamed it, because otherwise the outside sets enough that actually just trying to sprinkle hundreds of thousands on, they fall off. So do those two things quite close together. Right, let's see how we're doing. They need a bit longer. You know what? I think I overfilled them slightly because they're all going a little bit crazy on the outside, which I haven't had before. So make sure halfway is about it, but I think another 5 minutes. And if they have spilt over at all, you can get a knife and just trim them up a bit. And then you're obviously going to buttercream them as well. But we'll give them a bit longer. Sorry for the waiting. I should have got here's some I made earlier, shouldn't I? Note for next time. So if there's something else that you would like to see us bake, do let Virtual Village Hall know. I quite like the idea of doing a sandcastle cake to go with this, keep the beach theme going, and doing inverted cheesecake. But there's a bit of chilling involved with that, so it's just working out how we do that. So, and tell me what you're up to this week. Are you up to much? Have you been taking part in other workshops? What have you been learning or doing? I just got into yoga personally. I've quite enjoyed doing that. So, it's gone quiet. If you're baking, have you got your nose up to the window? Bear with me. Mine's still looking a little bit underdone. I say that how can you safely bake the ice cream cones without ruining them? Well, usually 20 minutes is enough. They shouldn't need much more. Oh, Susan's baking Christmas cakes. Oh, you are organised. Yeah, I would be careful with them, watch them, but 20 minutes should be fine. Anne's just been stripping wallpaper. Anne, you are good. That sounds, what are you going to do next? Are you putting more wallpaper up, or are you painting the walls? I quite like doing stripping wallpaper, but probably not after a while. Probably it gets a bit boring. You should try laughter yoga on Virtual Village Hall. It's a hoot. Oh, I haven't tried that. Yeah, no, I should have a look at that. But I have enjoyed getting into it. It's quite a good, nice, calming thing to do. And actually makes me ache a little bit more than I'd expect. But I take that as a good sign. So I'm just keeping an eye on these. Usually when I bake them, they dome more in the middle. This time they've decided that they're going to go on the outside a little bit more. There's just little bits of sponge cake that are coming up on the sides. So we're just going to cut those off. I need ceiling plastered, then wallpaper. Well, that sounds like a lot of work. But yeah, we've got one more room that we need to re-plaster or skim the ceiling. And then I think we're done in this house. And then just start all over again then, don't you? So, have you got any more questions? The baking Christmas cakes. Yeah, I wait until a bit later to do my Christmas cakes, but only because I suddenly panicked that I haven't done them. But very good. I bet it smells amazing in your house, Susan. Right, I've got 2 more minutes, then hopefully I can take them out and show you. But I don't know if you've been baking. Have you made 8, or did you manage to get a few more out? I think if I'd put a 9th or 10th cone out, I might have actually filled those and then avoided overfilling the 8 that I had. That was just me being a bit naughty. But it won't be long. Anne-Marie's last room, then the hallway, and finished. Oh, excellent. Has this been a lockdown project, Anne? Susan's put lovely smell of spices. I bet. Do you like that smell? I do like baking at Christmas. We did a bit of a countdown to Christmas, 12 days of different recipes, and that was lovely. And panettone as well. That was nice. 1 more minute. Yeah, they've done a bit of a funny thing in the oven this time, but that's live shows for you. But it doesn't matter, because even when things go slightly differently to how you planned, then I can show you how to kind of cope with that. Debbie says she's been paper crafting this week, making a few cards between work meetings, and then starting a new cross stitch, a potting shed design. Oh, very nice. And just before lockdown, been a bit of a nightmare, I bet. Oh, and Dorothy liked the panettone recipe. Oh, I'm glad. Right, let's get these out. Oh, they have gone a bit crazy, guys. They have gone a bit crazy. Bear with me, just making sure I don't burn myself. So the one in the foil, I don't know what's gone on with that. Actually, you know what? Some of them are done, some of them aren't. I'm going to take out the couple that I do think are done, or one that's done. Bear with me. Let's get one out. I do think I know what I've done. Unbeknown to me, I have got it on an eco setting, which I've not tried out before, and I'm not sure it's they're relatively new ovens. I'm not sure it's circulated the air as much as I'd hope. So I'm going to have to have just rotated them and put them in for another few minutes. But that's the first time I've tried out the eco setting, and eco might mean it only does half an oven. Right, so that is your filled cupcake case. As I said, it's kind of gone down the side a bit. So if you want to prettify it, just get a knife and gently go on the outside and just remove the cake. So that's your cake. Now you want to leave that to cool down completely before you put your topping on. I'm tempted, it will be a disaster in the long run because it is hot, but just so that I can show you the whole result, I'm tempted to ice this one and put some sprinkles on just so you can see it all finished. I'll give it a few more minutes, but I'll have to eat it fast or take the icing off because they do need to cool. And if you can put them on a cooling rack, that is the best place for them. If you can't, then just leave them in the cake case, you know, the tray until they're done. But I know it won't last very long if I do it now, but it will be nice to show you the finished article. What I'm doing is I'm using my hundreds of thousands because I just love the colour of them. But if you do have a strawberry sauce or something, you know, go for it with this. Right, shall I do it? Shall we just do one so you can see? and excuse any melting. It will look like a true ice cream. Right, so I'm going to bring it up, and you want to, there you go, like so. And before it all melts on me, there. So, and if you want to cover the whole cupcake, you can, but I quite like it like that. I think it's going to melt on me any second now. But hopefully you make some really fun ones. If you want to put some more sprinkles on, just tilt them a little bit. There we go. There we go. Oh, wrong way, that way. So I will not make you wait for them all to cool. That is the result you're looking for. As I said, don't decorate them until they are cooled, because it's already trying to melt. It's going to look like a proper ice cream on a hot day in a minute. You will want to wait until they're nice and cold before you decorate them all. But that is that then done. That's all you need to do. So enjoy. If you haven't made them already, do enjoy. Debbie said yummy. It looks like a proper Mr. Whippy ice cream. Catherine said looks great. Anne said looks brilliant. As I said, if you haven't got a piping bag, but you do have an ice cream scoop or even like a soup spoon, you could scoop up the buttercream and add it on as a really kind of like original type ice cream. So do have fun with it. And you could even, if you want to get really inventive, you could split your buttercream into different, like 3 bowls, leave one as the vanilla, and then add some chocolate for your chocolate one, and maybe some red colouring or pink colouring, and do like a strawberry flavour, and pile it all up. So do leave us your pictures. I'll get those out in a second. Do send in your photos and have fun with them. And hopefully we'll see you again soon. Yeah, Susan's going to add a flake. Go and add a flake. Have fun with it. It's been lovely baking with you all. I'm actually surprised this hasn't melted as much. I might get away with that, but I wouldn't recommend it. I would highly recommend, yeah, it's tilting. It's doing a proper ice cream thing. Wait until they're cooled, decorate them and enjoy. Thank you very much, guys. It's been lovely baking with you.